Hello everyone, my name is Kira and today I will be reviewing the upcoming 5.7 character Skirk. But before we begin, I would like to ask you to like and subscribe to my channel. I'm a small content creator and appreciate any of your support. And with that out of the way, let's begin. Firstly, Skirk is a Cryosword DPS character who has a lengthy kit in multiple playstyles, but that's why I'm here to simplify it for you. Her elemental skill has two versions, tap and hold. The tap version enters a special state that increases her normal attack damage and changes her burst. More on that later. Her hold version simply floats around and generates energy for the main burst. Her burst doesn't actually rely on energy. Similar to Malvika, she generates her energy through something called Serpent Subtlety, which I will be calling just Serpent Stacks or energy for the sake of this video. She needs 50 to ult and she can hold a maximum of 100, so again, similar to Malvika, you ult with half. This energy is generated using two methods. Using either of her elemental skills, generates 45 Serpent Stacks, and collecting Void Drifts through her Ascension passive grant 8 energy each. As for her Ascension passive, if you trigger a cryo reaction barring melt, you will summon something called a Void Rift. Only 3 can exist once on the field, which means 24 Serpent Stacks, leading to around 69 energy, nice, total in most rotations. How to collect these Void Rifts, you ask? Simple, either using a charge attack in her tap E state, using the second burst through that tap E state, or running around with her hold E state and collecting them. Speaking of which, the first burst is the main one with the hold E state, which does big damage. The second one does no damage, likely for the new gallery set effect to work. But all it does is collect Void Rifts. Her second passive, to put it shortly, gives up to a 70% normal attack damage increase if you have Cryo or Hydro party members only. This increase is to the base scaling, meaning it's an actual 70% damage increase to her total damage. That, and she relies on Escoffier, another character who wants to run mono freeze, and so most of her best teams will be mono freeze, meaning only Cryo or Hydro teammates. Wow, that was a really lengthy explanation, but now that we're done, let me talk about her potential team options, which basically forces her to use Escoffier. I don't know what else to tell you. Kirk and Escoffier are a match made in heaven, and Hoyo knows that very well. For other teammate options, most off-field Hydro and Cryo healer off-field Hydros and Cryos and also healers of those elements can work well with her just fine. But her best DPS team will be Escoffier, Skirk, Furina and Shenhe, reaching upwards of about 100k DPS according to Flip. A really good TC, by the way. Follow him. Shenhe can also be replaced with Yelan, and it shouldn't be too dissimilar, but let's talk about the elephant in the room here. Escoffier has only debuted just last week, and Skirk will only debut not much later, about a month after. This along with two patches, 5.6 and 5.7, having only 57 wishes each. You can't guarantee one of them, let alone both. This means that for most F2P players, it is very unreasonable to expect you to have both. You might think it isn't that bad, but the 100k DPS team goes down to 67k. Do you know how small that is? That is barely higher than Ayato damage. That is less than Hyper Bloom damage in the big 2025. We're nearing Not Cry, 6.x. This means that Skirk is literally worse than the best F2P team without Escoffier. And she doesn't have many good replacements for her other premium teammates either, so the FPS drop-off is massive in those situations, and I don't know how else to put it, but she's just not that good without Escoffier. And with Escoffier, her DPS is only slightly under Veresa's. Moving on from that rant, what are Skirk's pros and cons? For starters, she is fairly easy to play by just spamming your normal attacks with the occasional charge attack to collect Void Rifts. She also uses freeze teams, which are comfortable to use against non-boss enemies which can be frozen, which makes it much easier to fight them. She also has a decent F2P sword option in Finale of the Deep, and even Calamity of Esho if you have a shielder on the team. But that's where the pros end. Her biggest problem is the heavy reliance on teammates, especially Escoffier, which again is almost impossible to get both as an F2P. Another problem is that her DPS just isn't that high, all things considered. Even in her best teams, yes, 100k DPS is good, but keep in mind, Ayaka Escoffier teams only have 99k DPS, meaning the difference is barely there. And it's also lower than Veresa's 105k DPS. And just forget Malvika, at this point she does way more than that. Meaning, even if you pull the impossible and get both Skirk and Escoffier, you won't be doing as high of a DPS as you frankly should. And again, she has little to no replacements to her premium teammates FTP wise. So if you don't have Furina or Yelan, just forget getting Skirk altogether. With all of that out of the way, what's her pull value? In my opinion, very low, sadly. The fact is, she is very expensive and difficult to get going, and even in those situations, she's not nearly as good as she should be. making her feel very dissatisfying to build. This is also not factoring in the inherently lower value of pulling a DPS. Another small point is that simply, we don't know who's coming in 5.8. All the silhouettes in the 5.3 livestream have been confirmed already. So in that patch, we could get a strong support preparing us for Notkara like they did with Emily and Natlan. We could get a DPS that's unironically stronger than Skirk, or at least easier to make work. So unless you really like Skirk or freeze teams or have Iskofia and have extra funds, she's not gonna be all that good to pull for you. Now that I've explained all of that, what have you decided? Will you skip her like I advised or just pull regardless? Let me know down below in the comment. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. I'm a small content creator and I appreciate any support. Have a wonderful day or night wherever you are, and bye.